What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about brand approval, brand registry, and trademarks. One of the most confusing and annoying parts of listing on Amazon that has real consequences when it comes to having an actual brand name on your listing and not being a generic product where people can hijack it. Then being able to get brand registry, which unlocks a ton of features which is needed on Amazon. And we have to do this all correctly to make sure that we can actually make our shipping plan, get products sent into Amazon, and so we don't have to fight Amazon later to have a generic product be listed as a brand product later, which is almost impossible. So today I'm going to walk you through that whole process, what each is, how do you actually do it, what things to avoid to make sure this process goes as smooth as possible and you don't get it put in brand application jail. Before we hop into my screen, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We'll get right into it. So first I want to talk about the timeline of everything we need to do. So the first thing we're going to go over is brand approval, because that's usually the first thing you need to do. So brand approval has nothing to do with trademarks. This is just something Amazon needs us to do to list on Amazon without a trademark and actually have our brand name show up on Amazon. Now this is important because we have to list on Amazon to get our ASIN, to actually get brand registry, which I'll show in a little bit, but also to make our shipping plans, to get our FN SKU to put on our box. Essentially, we need to go through this process to make sure we can bring our product in and have everything set up on our listing properly. Now, where a lot of people make mistakes is they'll actually make a listing to get all those things, but they'll put this product does not have a brand name or list as generic. And this will be a nightmare in the future when it comes to getting brand registry, getting this changed. You can almost never get this changed on Amazon. So you want to set this up right the first time and go through this little hiccup of a process to make sure everything's set up correctly. So we see here, Amazon's asking for brand approval right here because they do not recognize this brand. So let's start from scratch and show you exactly how this process works. Then we'll get into brand registry right after that, as well as trademarks. So say you want to list your product. The first thing we're going to do to get this process started is you want to list your product to be able to go through this brand approval process. It's the easiest way to do that. So we're going to go ahead and add products here. Then we're going to go to blank form, hit start. So now we're on this blank form right here. So the brand we're going to be doing is Happy Day Swingers Golf Set. So that's our product right there. It's going to do a product type search. Sometimes it pops up, sometimes it doesn't. We're just going to go into golf. Don't take any of my advice for this video here when it comes to how to list your product. I'm kind of blowing through this pretty quickly here. Just to get to the brand approval process, obviously I'd set up for variations, all that good stuff. I got videos of how to list a product properly. So brand name would be Happy Day Swingers here. Again, if you want to have a brand name, you want to be brand registered, have all the features for that, like video ads, the Vine program to get your first 30 reviews, and so much more. Make sure you do not click this little box right here. This little box will make your life hell when it comes to doing branded stuff later. So we're not going to click that little box. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to put a UPC in here. Obviously, you put your GS1 or your UPC in here. I'm just going to hit this. Okay, from here, I'm all set. We'd hit next. Okay, so this is an important part right here. So I get this little tag. This is brand name approval required. Now, this is the newer UI of Seller Central, meaning user interface. They change this stuff all the time. So there can be a possibility this does not pop up for you. So the old UI of Amazon, you're going to have to fill out all this stuff right here, which just go find my product listing video, go through all this stuff here. Then when you hit this button down here to actually make your listing, at the end of the whole process, just make sure all these exclamation points across here are gone. You got everything filled out. And in that case, you're going to get this pop-up that says error 5665 or error 5664. I don't know what number it is anymore. There's so many numbers that I get lost in the sauce. It seems like they change them. But essentially, you're going to get this pop-up. And on this pop-up, it's going to be a little hyperlink. Essentially, go to the exact place I'm going now. So if you don't have this little pop-up down here, go through that process I just described to recreate that whole pop-up scenario for yourself. And if you can't find it then, what you're going to want to do is go make a case with Amazon saying you're trying to get brand approval. They'll give you the link for that to the application, but hopefully you don't have to worry about that. But essentially there's always a route to get to this. Just know if you can't find it right away, that's pretty normal. There's tons of times I got to manipulate this thing to make sure I get this link to be able to get brand approval here. So the next thing we're going to do, hit apply to sell. So we see right here on the right pop-up side, again, this could take you to a whole new page. If it's the pop-up version I was talking about earlier, or it's going to pop up on the right here, we're going to click apply to create a new brand approval for this brand right here. Now it walks you through everything in here. I hate this little pop-up on the right. I love it when it brings you to the big screen, but for the sake of this video, I guess they're just kind of forcing us to do this the hard way. But this will actually walk you through the whole process of brand approval. In this, it's not great. That's why I'm making this video, because there's a lot of things that they suck at doing. They even prompt you here if you have a trademark already, which maybe you already do. And you could just go into brand registry and just skip this whole process. The problem we face with that is the brand registry process requires us to put an ASIN in. If we haven't listed a product yet, we can't do that. So we have to get brand approval first. And after doing this so many times and helping people do this so many times, it seems to be more straightforward just going through the brand approval process and then getting your ASIN, getting everything you need there. And then you can come back later with your pending trademark number or trademark and then get brand registry when you're ready to. So I like to do the brand approval process first, but we see right here, the first thing they're asking for is a brand website. Now, if you have one with your products listed on there, great, put it in there. But if you have a website that maybe has no products on it or is weird or is crappy, just leave it out here. Obviously, we see this as optional right here, so I don't want anything here to hurt you unless you have a legit website set up with those products and with that brand here. Next, we see at least submit 2 images of your brand Happy Day Swingers product and packaging. Now, this is the most important part of this application right here. They actually have like a little checkbox system here to walk you through to make sure you're hitting everything correctly. So let's just walk through each one of these and I'll talk about little tips and tricks to make sure you're doing this properly. But first one we see is product pictures should not be blurry or truncated, whatever that means, if I'm saying that word right. The text images like the brand must be legible. Okay, so as you're getting the gist for, we essentially need 2 photos of our product here. The branding on your product or packaging must match Happy Day Swingers. So it's very important that this application matches what your trademark's going to be exactly, okay? And exactly what it says on your packaging, which we'll talk about packaging here in a second, which is another tough part of this whole process. And I'll talk about workarounds if you don't have branded packaging and all that good stuff. So make sure this matches exactly to the capitalization, an S, the spacing, everything here needs to match up. Now, if say something got messed up where you put the brand name incorrectly on the front page here, go delete this listing, start new, and put this in right the first time. And then when you get prompted to make this, it's going to have the right branding on here for the application. Okay, I've seen that happen too, where people get stuck because they actually brand approve something that's a little off, and then when they get the brand registry, it's messy. They say differences in capitalizations allowed, but I like to be exact here because sometimes they're just wrong in themselves or someone looks at it and they don't know what they're doing. Next, the pictures are taken by you and items are handheld or placed on a table. No digital altered or Photoshop images will result in application being declined. So even if the Photoshop or you altering the images doesn't affect the actual product, they're going to see that and they're just gonna be like, no, they're just going to decline it. So do not alter your photos. What I like to do here is just take iPhone photos that are raw, whether on the table, again, like in your hand. And this could be of the product packaging or the brand name on the product itself. So it just has to say that brand name on there. Even if you have only one product, what I'll do is I'll just place one on the table with a different background, take a picture of that, and then place it somewhere else, take the same picture of that same product, and then upload those. Next, the branding Happy Day Swingers must be stamped, stitched, printed, or stick on the product or packaging that is not easily removed. If apparel or printed hang tags are acceptable. So meaning it has to be permanently affixed. They used to use that big word, but it looks like they're getting away from it because it was a little confusing. But essentially, you can't just write the brand name on there. You can't have a sticker label on there for it to count. It needs to be put on the packaging, printed, stamped, stitched, whatever. This could be on the product or the product packaging itself. So a sticker label does not work here. Tag for most products do not work unless it's for jewelry or apparel, which again, I'll talk about ways to work around this if you could not get a product package from your supplier. Next, if requesting a G10 exemption, which I'm in this case, so for you, this will actually say something a little differently, most likely, and it'll have the GS1 barcode present on your packaging to match this external product ID, right? So you put that UPC in here as well. So this could actually be a sticker label, which makes it super easy. So you can, stamp your product name, your brand name on the packaging and then have a sticker UPC on there, which is super easy to get. GS1, when you sign up there, get your barcode, you can just print using a sticker label, whatever it may be there, put that on your packaging and take the photo there. Now let's talk about ways to avoid you having to take these pictures at all and ways that if you have to take these pictures, how do you do this when you don't have a product with all this stuff on it? So if we're doing hindsight 2020, we're preparing way in advance. Say you haven't even got your samples yet, anything like that for your product. Have your samples, if you can, I know this is not possible for every scenario, have your samples come with the product packaging with all this stuff on it, with your brand name on it, or the product itself have the brand name on it. If you get the samples with that, even if you don't go with that manufacturer, it doesn't have to be the exact same product. It just has to be slightly similar. So if we get that sample from a manufacturer, whether we're using them or not, we now have that sample to take photos with to get through this process. So that's the easiest way to do this. Okay, say you're past this part, you got samples with no branding on it, and you placed your final order with your manufacturer. When that happens, and say your final product is going to have your brand name on it, your packaging, what you should do there, as soon as they get the first one off the line, you should ask your manufacturers to take photos for you. They all have nice smartphones over there. Everybody in the world pretty much has nice smartphones already. So the photo quality is going to be just fine, and they don't want a high production photo anyways. So just have them take photos for you, your rep, and send those over to you with everything you just talked about. So you can send them the UPC, tell them to sticker that on there for you real quick, and take 5 to 10 photos so you can have a little bit more photos to choose from with your brand name on the packaging, with that UPC on the packaging, and boom, they send it across the world digitally, and now you have your ammo to go through this brand approval process. Now say that can't happen either. Say your product's already in transit or something weird is going on and you need to get through this process now. So I've done this a couple times, so have my clients. But what you can do on Amazon, see how this goes full circle here? You're buying products on Amazon to list products on Amazon. So what we can do here is actually buy a custom stamp logo, put your logo on here or your brand words or whatever it is, the branding on there. I like to do it fairly big depending on the package size. And then I just got a cardboard box at home that looks nice, that doesn't have any L branding on it, but looks like it could be packaging for my product. I stamp it on there. You will have to get an ink pad for this as well, so make sure you do that. I delayed my whole thing by like 2 days because I forgot I needed an ink pad before I got the stamp. So make sure you do that. But it took me a couple of times too. So if you got extra boxes, cool. Do a little practice stamp somewhere else. Because if you don't fully get it, there's gonna be some blank areas of that stamp. So you want to get a really good one to do this. You don't want to have missing letters or pieces of letters when you stamp this. So do some practice ones until you get it right perfectly on that box. Take a few photos of that in different areas, submit those. Okay, say that doesn't work. So now we're over here. They'll get a custom package built for you. Just get one of these. There's tons of websites. I'm not saying use this one, but there are a ton of websites. You can just put your product packaging on here, something very simple with your brand name on it. Get it home, put your UPC on it, which you can just get with some Avery sticker labels. You get those at Walmart. You got a normal printer. They print perfectly on there. Sticker that, take a few photos of this, and then you're done. So that's the brand approval process in a nutshell right there for every step of how you should do it. If you have perfect, scenarios where you haven't started yet, all the way to if you're kind of in a pickle right now, you need to get it done. We upload those photos right here. We put our email address in, phone number in here, submit. Now, sometimes this happens within a day. Sometimes this takes 10 days. Sometimes you have to resubmit. It's all part of the Amazon process. It seems like with Amazon, if everything is perfect, you still have a 30% chance of getting declined. Just know it's part of the process. Make sure you go through everything right here again to make sure you're doing everything properly there. If you really get stuck, keep getting declined, make sure you're calling, making cases about it, trying to figure out if your pictures are perfectly fitting every criteria here. So once we have brand approval processed and we can now list our product, get our FN SKU to put on our box, which is the Amazon barcode they want when it's in their system. Make our shipping plan to get all the box labels to our freight forwarder or manufacturer, whoever's going to. So now we have the structure there to make sure we have a listing that actually has our brand name on it. It's not listed as generic, and we're kind of in full safety mode there when it comes to long-term plans. Okay, so there's a couple ways to get to the Amazon brand registry process. Now, for us to do this, we need at least a pending trademark. Okay, so your trademark could be live, or it could just be pending, meaning that you just registered it for a day ago, you got the application for it, and you can use that number to get your brand registered. Now you might be asking me why to go to that effort to go get a trademark, which I'll show you exactly how to do here in a second. It's because we can apply for this and we get a bunch of bonuses. So new sellers will get 10% back on branded sales. So you have to be in brand registry for this to apply. This is 10% back on your first, I know it's kind of small there guys, but 10% back on your first 50,000 in branded sales, then 5% back through your first year until you reach a $1 million. This is huge because as you know, in a product business, margins are everything. So anything we could do to get some margins back, great. Then we get a $200 credit for our first Amazon Vine program, which is a program you have to be in brand registry for, which allows you to get up to 30 reviews for your product right away with Vine customers who can get your product for free and then do it. Yes, you have to give up the product and have a little fees for that, but it ends up being cost of goods for that product as well as some FBA fees. I'd pay $30, $40, $50 easily per product to get reviews. Reviews are the hardest thing to do on Amazon, so don't cry about the lost product on those. Just know that reviews are worth up to probably $100 per review in my eyes to get on Amazon. So just think of it that way. Not only that, guys, you got IP Accelerator, which actually you don't really need that one. But from there, you have A+ content, Vine. You got tons more analytics, brand analytics, subscribe and save, brand tailored promotions, virtual bundles, brand stores, sponsored brand ads, sponsored display ads. You can do post on Amazon, Amazon Lives. You can do experiments. So you can test certain photos against others and have data from there. Brand analytics, which is massive. Amazon attribution links, which is also massive for tracking external sales coming into your Amazon page. Brand metrics, brand referral program, transparency program, and better branded support to actually get some help when it comes to Seller Central support, which is, we need all the help we can get there. So essentially in today's world, to be a private label seller, you need brand registry. There's just no way around it. You'll be selling with one arm behind your back, essentially. So to start that process, you got a brand approval, you're good there. So you have your ASIN to use. We have our pending trademark number, which I'll cover exactly how to get that here at the end. So now we have to go file this application. Now you can type this into your search bar right here, find it this way. The only reason I showed you this way is because use the search bar. It's one of the most handy things in Amazon. Some people are just too afraid to use it. Yeah, you'll have to get a little good with it, but essentially I hit this, scroll down, find brand applications right here, click that. You'll go to this page right here, create application, and okay. So we have the brand registry form right here. Let's zoom in a little bit on that so you guys can see. So let's walk through this exactly what you need to have right here. So brand name, right? So we had Happy Day Swingers right here, upload brand logo. Now you can have a logo done. Go to Fiverr, $5, $10, this site right here, type in logo, $10, or do it on Canva or have AI do it. Or all you have to do right here is put in a photo of your brand name, Happy Day Swingers. That works as well. Next, you need to enter the registration or serial number for the product for the trademark office. So when you file your trademark, you're actually going to get this form back. This has this right at the top. It will say serial number most likely or registration number. You'll use this whether it's pending or done. You'll put this in here, verify it. So just make sure it matches up right there. You can also find this stuff when you go find your own product on the USPTO office, which we'll talk more about that here soon. So we can put this in here, verify. This obviously isn't going to verify because this application is dead. Here you'll select the trademark type, so word mark or design mark. This again will just match up your trademark application. Once you do the trademark, this stuff is obvious. So word mark here just trademarks the name here, Happy Day Swingers, just in text form. Design mark will also do your logo here. So if we're just doing word mark, cool, we put that in there. That's fine. If it's a design mark, put that in there. You'll know exactly what to do again when you file the trademark. Categories describe the brand. So this will be, sports and outdoors since we're a golf company. Put that in there. We'll put the ASIN in here. See, this is why we need brand approval to list that product. So we'll put the ASIN right there. Enter the URL to your brand's official website. Again, optional if you have it, great. Other products on other sites, cool, put that in there. And then the product images. So these product images can be the exact same ones that you use for the brand approval process. I actually recommend you use those because you know they have passed before. Use them here again. Okay, so we hit next right here. So this is the business information part of it. Walking through that, are you a seller or vendor for the brand you're enrolling? So we are a seller of this product. What it's going to do is drop down your selling account. You'll choose that one. Now what vendor means here is it's vendor central. So it means you actually sell your product to Amazon and they resell it as themselves. So think of a wholesaler to Amazon. Most people aren't that, but if you are, you'll know it, or neither, which in this case just doesn't make any sense. So we are a seller right here. Click on your store right here. Obviously things will be blurred out, but you'll see your own information right there. So hit next right here. So everything here is about manufacturing essentially and how that all works. Does your brand sell to distributors? No. In most cases, if you do, put yes. Here it says optional because we hit no, so nothing needs to be there. Next, does your brand license trademarks to others who manufacture products associated with your intellectual property? We hit no here, right? If you hit yes, this will pretty much open the door for other people to sell your products on Amazon. That's how I take it anyways. So make sure you hit no there if you don't want anybody else selling your products to there. And if this is true for you, it makes sense anyways to hit no. Then we submit, we wait, we go into the application process. Now real quick here, sometimes this application looks a little different to everybody else. Okay, so it depends on your account, depends on when you started the account, how much history is on that account as well. You could be asked for invoices from your manufacturer during this process. Now, big thing here, not a huge deal. What you do is you go back to your manufacturer, ask them for an invoice for your product that is in receipt form. What I mean by that, it has to have proof that it's been paid. So something there that says it's been paid. So essentially they're just making you a dummy invoice. So when they make you this dummy invoice, which a lot of manufacturers are used to this, so I don't think it's too out of the realm. I've had to do this a couple times myself. So make sure your business name, your phone number, your email, everything, your address that's on your seller account is on top of that invoice. So have everything match up exactly to that, as well as when they list the product, try to match the title to what it is on Amazon, have the ASIN listed, and have everything match up there as well as the brand. So essentially think if it's, an invoice, you see your little product image, you see the title of the product, the identifiers of that product, so the ASIN and the brand name could be part of the title, wherever that fits in there, with how many you bought, how much they cost, as well as the total paid, right? It could be a stamp that said paid on the bottom there. Obviously, I said it's a dummy invoice, but it really isn't. You paid for all this stuff anyways. This is just a real invoice to help you get through on this side with Amazon. So if you go through that, that's how you take care of that scenario. So now that we unlocked everything with brand registry, let's talk about what you need to get there. And that's a trademark, okay? So I'm in the USPTO office right here. I looked up Happy Day Swingers to see if it's been taken by anybody. It's not. So this is how you look this up. If we go back all the way to the home screen here, go to Trademarks, search our trademark database, trademark search system, and type in, whatever trademark you're looking for, Happy Day Swingers. We do a search for that. So make sure that whatever you're trying to trademark is at least dead or abandoned, or there's nothing live here that hits it, right? So make sure you go through this, do your research when it comes to that. Okay, now filing the trademark. Now you can do this yourself on the USPTO office. I have a whole video describing how to do that. You apply online. This saves you some money from legal fees. Yes, it's a little tedious, but again, just walk through the video. I'll put that down below or link somewhere in the video, probably in the description down below. If you want to follow this process, or if you just want to hire this out, you can do Fiverr, $40, $20, $75 for someone to trademark your product, or you can do one of the bigger companies here. So just register my trademark. You got trademark filing here, Trademark Genius, LegalZoom. There's a ton of them. I tend to stay away from these bigger companies because they suck and they nickel and dime you for everything. So I tend to do it myself, or just go like a more Upwork or Fiverr route when it comes to these. So that's how to handle that. Either do it yourself, watch my tutorial video on that, or hire someone to do that. Just make sure whoever you hire has good reviews. If you're outside the US, make sure they're actually a US registered attorney, not on the ban list, which just Google trademark ban list. You can find any attorneys that's on there and avoid them like the plague. But if you just go to someone, good reviews, you're outside of the US and they're a legal US attorney, usually very straightforward there. Just if you're outside the US, you cannot file yourself. You need a US attorney to do that for you. So that's it, guys. I know that was a long one, but obviously this is very important to list your product. Make sure you don't have generic on there. Make sure you can apply for brand registry, brand approval, get the trademark. This is pretty much the mega lesson for all these steps in a row to make sure you know exactly how to go through this process and don't fudge it up and cause a lot of headaches for you in the future. So hopefully this was super helpful. If it was, leave me a comment down below. Let me know. If you need more help like listing your product, just type in Cameron James, how to list your product on the YouTube search bar. Same thing with the US trademark thing. Again, I'll try to put these links down below for you guys if you can find them. If not, just use the search bar. If you guys need more help on this, obviously I have a mentorship program. It's not for everybody. If you just have one single question, it's probably not for you. But if you want A to Z help, yeah, look into it. Great, but no pressure there, of course. Otherwise, guys, we'll see you in the next one.